dollar, that's what I need. Hey, hey. Well, I need a dollar, that's what I need. Hey, hey. Said I need a dollar, that's what I need. And if I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Bad times are coming and I reap what I done sown. Hey, hey. Well, let me tell you something. All that glitters ain't.
Private property refers to a system that allocates particular objects like pieces of land to individuals to use and manage as they please, to the exclusion of others and to the exclusion of any control by society. Private, belonging to or for the use of one person or group of people only. From property to poverty, from property to poverty, everything's a lie when you trying to shield the cult of minds. This is the church of the stolen land of I, and did I say it? I. So when I'm talking about liberation, reclaiming, and Mama Earth taken back, I ain't speaking about reoppressing Mama Earth with more ownership smack. That's what got us here in the first effing place. Melanated peoples believe in the lie that ownership means you safe. Indigenous peoples believe in the lie that ownership means we liberated. Homeless peoples believe in the lie that ownership means we homeful. If we don't want to re-oppress and re-evict and re-desecrate ourselves and Mama Earth where we all dwell, let's actually walk a different way that has no roots in the colonizer's sway. Today's podcast from a pandemic poverty scholar goes out to all the peoples thinking through this moment, this shift, this pandemic, and how not to emulate, to simulate, to recreate the colonizers and the masses and the owners, how to reclaim, lift up, and never buy, sell, and poison Mama Earth again. Yeah, this podcast from a poverty scholar, as reported on previous podcasts from this poverty scholar, that sadly, as much as land trusts are held up as the model of liberation, nah, fam, they are still working within the constraints of the settler colonial lies and disguise. Yeah, they have expiration dates. And eventually, that part of Mama Earth can be transferred, litigated, paper trailed to new Mama Earth stealers and resold on the gangster real estate market along with trafficked bodies and products. It is why we poor folks at Homefulness are actually creating a whole new notion for land stewarding. We call it unselling Mama Earth and the liberation of land contract, spiritual, legal, visionary, but more importantly, completely off the track. Yeah, these aren't only ideas or visions, family. These are realities to ensure that the same violent process of eviction, removal, displacement, unlawful detainers, 3-day notices, sheriffs at your door, police and politricksters, land theft never happen to even one small more piece of Mama Earth. It requires a spiritual and settler colonial legal contract rooted in visionary manifestation, which before you can achieve, you need to unlink your colonized mind from the lie of I, minds, and own anything. You see, ownership itself is a lie. All of our indigenous ancestors and descendants, 527 years later, taught and teach that today. Through prayer, through manifestation. Shouts out to Segurite Land Trust and to so many more, to the Kingdom of Hawaii and so many more, to Moana Nui and so many more, to Kashmir, to West Papua and so many more. Pieces of paper claiming you have rights to something was a colonial construct locking in the theft. A violent street hustle perpetrated by the biggest street hustlers, gangsters that ever walked Mama Earth. The stealing fathers, founding fathers, they call themselves. Nah, they weren't brilliant, and their racist document that is held up as the pinnacle of justice and logic, known as the Constitution, ain't my church. It's a linguistically dominated, carefully scripted hustle that legitimized the brutal idea of land theft, speculation, and profit. I say all this to say, this is what I have lived, taught, and walked for all my days. As a houseless child of a mixed race, houseless, disabled, traumatized, destroyed mama, we never had the lie of ownership. We never even had that goal. Our lack of resources, credit, privilege, criminalization, poverty, or even access to that knowledge system was always in the way. We were always criminalized, kicked to the corner, evicted, and destroyed. Home itself was a privilege. Having a roof, much less the lie of ownership, was never even solid. Later, as a houseless single parent with my then very sick mama and infant son, I knew that we had to be safe. But that safety would never be because we had a piece of paper that said we own something. Yeah, that's when us poor mamas and children together launched Mama House, which was the visionary land liberation work that led to home fullness, a homeless people's solution to home fullness. A homeless people's solution to homelessness. This is not a condemnation or attack to all my fellow poor brothers and sisters who've been lied to and destroyed by that scarcity and that lack, by that knife of abuse that never stops cutting you down, cutting you back, by that rent check, by that 3-day notice, by that scam lord at your door. Now, this is a love SOS as poor peoples from all four corners of Mama Earth. We have all been taught and shown that the only way to safety is to own. To get safe is to get that paper. To be successful is to acquire and hoard more and more of that lying scarcity that was never meant to be for all of us, and really was meant to be for none of us. As literally 50,000 people or more are facing eviction because of the pandemic called poverty and the pandemic called colonial greed, land theft, and rent, and COVID-19, I propose to everyone hearing my voice to take this hard medicine in. Listen up to the violent roots of private property. Unfuck your mind from the lie of I. Consider enrolling in the next session of People School to decolonize and degentrify your lives. To get a copy of Poverty Scholarship, because it don't cost money if you don't got it. And most of all, to begin unpacking the idea that safety isn't and has never been ownership. Because if we continue to try to own Mama Earth, we will completely destroy every little bit of her that's protected us since birth. Stay tuned next week to part 2, Private Property and Police.
It's been a long old troublesome road, and I'm looking for somebody come and help me carry this load. I need dollar, that's what I need. Well, I need dollar, that's what I need. Well, I don't know if I'm walking on solid ground.